I think I don't know about you, but I had forgotten what this Penn State team is capable of doing when Cliff is healthy. I mean, looked like his old self out there, moving around just keeping his eyes downfield and just chucking darts, to Jahan Dotson and Parker Washington. Both of them, you see on the ticker down there, they both went over 100 yards receiving, which was quite impressive. And I remember when I wrote my prediction for the roundtable, and I actually had one of the more optimistic ones. I said 41-20 Ohio State, but I said something like Penn State could potentially keep this interesting for a half. They could exploit that Buckeye back seven with the passing game, and sure enough, it's what they ended up doing. Ohio State, to their credit, they did do a good job at times getting pressure on Cliff too, and force him to throw it away, or of course, worst case scenarios, they get a scoop and score, or like later in the game when it was 30-24 or 27, I forget, 27-24, but Penn State the ball, and Cliff has got maybe a split second before he gets nailed. He just makes a throw, which was he wasn't able to plant his foot, and it just ended up getting underthrown and was easily intercepted. That set up a Buckeye field goal, which made it 30-24. And so, things, those are like his worst moments. But overall, I mean, it's just, aside from those two things, I mean, you can't really ask much. I mean, I haven't started typing my position grades yet, but I mean, right now, I'm thinking I give him an A-. I mean, I know some people would disagree with me because he threw a pick and lost a fumble, but I mean, I can't blame him too much for the lost fumble. I think he was literally in the midst of trying to tuck it.
Correct.
And, keep the ball, and just happened, the blitz just really collapsed on him. But, I mean, if he's able to look like his old, he did take some shots and apparently was wincing at times, but I guess to his credit, he still looked, even on that last drive, when they missed a field goal to try to make it a one possession game again, he still looked like, the way he had been all night long. So whatever shots he took, I think they're saying on the broadcast, he was wearing some extra protective gear for, his back, rib cage area. So, I think, that probably helps. But like I said, it gives me optimism. If he can play like that, especially next week against a more beatable Maryland team by comparison. And of course, Michigan, I don't know if you saw their game today against Michigan State, but I actually turned it off when it was 30-14 Michigan, thinking that game was over. I think I went for a run. Then I come back and, here comes Sparty about to take the lead. I mean, it seems like you can hurt them with some tempo. And, I think the next thing to get into is Mike Yursich. I think he called a tremendous game overall. Just, he knew how to attack the Buckeyes. They did try to, establish some run to keep him honest. Of course, didn't work all that well. Although they did score a rushing touchdown a couple to their credit. I mean, count Jahan Dotson's run out of the wild Warren formation. But they tried to do that. But then they all, when that, of course, was getting bottled up, they went to the screen passes, which effectively act like run plays and which have been effective against other opponents earlier in the season. I think I especially myself think of the Wisconsin game when, I think of the screen passes. That's how we were able to open things up in the second half against them. But but yeah, I think he called a tremendous game overall. It's, again, just it's up to the guys to execute. And for the most part, they did. But of course, there were a couple plays that Sean Clifford would love to have back, or maybe a couple of his receivers would love to have back. They couldn't quite haul in. But I mean, overall, if the offense can look like that, going into these next four games, who knows? I think maybe they can shock Michigan or Michigan State somehow. Yeah, we'll see.